Mi gente, you already know who it is. It's the radioactive pop with Danny Limelight, United Wrestling Network World Heavyweight Champion. And make sure you tune into the Alliance blog every week. You heard it here first. Straight from Poppy.
They want NWA? Let's give them NWA.
Who are those guys?
And then there's the other guys.
We're the other guys. We're the guys nobody ever bets on.
The following program is intended for mature audiences.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show.
It's time for the Other Alliance Guys podcast with your hosts, Tim, Dave, and Jeremy.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and what can we tell you today? Well, we are the Other Alliance Guys, a presentation of alliance-wrestling.com, your number one source for news and information from the National Wrestling Alliance, the United Wrestling Network, and various independents around the world. My name is Tim. This is Jeremy and Dave. How are you guys doing today?
Doing good.
Doing good.
We're surviving, right? It's one of those weeks, it seems like, for all of us. Just,
Yeah.
Yeah, there it is. Well, what are we talking about today? We're going to talk about the NWA USA deep dive from this past week, which was a very short show. It was about 20 minutes, I think, in total. Even Power Guys was like, 40?
Mm-hmm.
And then Jeremy's going to do some championship wrestling from Jeremy. He's going to talk about the best 3 matches out of the United Wrestling Network this past week.
We got some doozies, too.
Yeah, we sure do. Lucky you. And in our I Respect You Booker Man segment, Dave's going to do some booking around the Crockett Cup once again. So, always looking forward to Dave anchoring the show. Let's see who's in the chat. Jonathan Burrell was here earlier. Couldn't make it for the rest of the evening and asked a question, with AEW focusing on cruiserweights up and down the card and WWE is full. The NWA, I think he's trying to say, should they bet on the heavyweights to reduce the risk of talent threats? You got Mims, you got Thrillbilly, Murdoch, and Kratos. Those would be highlights for him. I mean, my answer for him, Dave, was that, Billy likes the beefy boys, so heavyweights are kind of where it's at. What do you think?
Yeah, but I mean, the NWA is sort of like the island of lost toys or broken toys, and many of the people that have been through the NWA and are still with the NWA are either former wrestlers on their way down or newer wrestlers on their way up.
Yep.
In any organization, whether it be baseball, basketball, football, wrestling, hockey, whatever, you're going to have a change. You're going to have your base people that are your base team. Then you're going to have rookies. You're going to have veterans. And it's going to continuously change depending on what you're trying to do. So I think the NWA is good where they are now, having a little bit of everything. But they're focusing more on the bigger wrestlers. But yet you still have your female tag teams. You still have your women's TV title. You have plenty of titles there for everybody. You have your junior heavyweights. You want to have a little bit of everything, have it almost as a buffet. The only thing I really don't see them having are really, I mean, they have the junior heavyweights, but they really don't have like the cruiserweights, which basically go in there and are daredevils.
Yeah.
You have some junior heavyweights, but they're more mat-based wrestlers, or they're just willing to get down and dirty and do whatever it takes to win.
That's true. A little bit of something for everybody, except maybe the Super Daredevils right now. But as you mentioned, I don't know. What do you think, Jeremy? Do you think there's? I don't think. I agree with Dave. I don't think that you can really say, well, we'll give you the heavyweights. I think we'll give you who's available and the best of who's available, like any AAA ball club.
That's more how I feel about the NWA right now, and totally agree with Dave on that. That's what our roster is: guys that are on their way down and guys that are on their way up, and it very much is like a AAA ball team.
Yeah.
These are guys that you've got your guys that were stars on the plate and on the base and stuff, and now they're not, but they're clinging on to what they can and trying to pass on that knowledge. And then you've got the guys that will be stars on the plate and on the base and that, in the future years, hopefully.
I don't follow any other organizations other than the NWA and the UWN. It always feels like the women's division has been pretty solid outside of tag teams, right? There haven't been a lot of those, but that's always been a feature for me. And Willie likes La Rosa Negra versus Natalia Markova in a Viagra match. Remember the Viagra on a pole match? Those are Russo days.
Right.
Mike is here. Mike and I have had a conversation about punctuation and commas in the chat that
I saw that.
I encourage you actively to avoid. It is going to be a fun day. You should get ready for demonetization because we are here and we are going to cause some trouble. So that's what we're looking at today. NWA USA booking around the Crockett Cup. Jeremy's got UWN. Let's do a little round table though. Jeremy, what do you got the NWA. They've gone to Mexico. We haven't seen any footage other than what, Jay has put out there or some other fans have taped and what AAA has put out.
Right.
And now we got them down in Australia with the Southern Six hashtag, which we haven't seen anything come out of the NWA for this. So if this wrestling turns out to be, guys, just in time, it just turns out to be, it was just in support of the festival. Just in support of the Pumpkins and they're headlining the World is a Vampire Festival. This footage is never used. Jeremy, would you call that tour successful for the NWA?
No. If you don't use the footage, then there has to be a reason why. And that's because it was either subpar or it was just there as a side piece. It was just something to help distract the crowd in between teardowns and setups or whatever.
This is it. I mean, is that all that it is, you think, Dave? Or do you think we're going to see anything come out of this?
I'm hoping they at least do some highlights and show us parts of matches, if not whole matches. It would seem to be a waste if they don't try to show us what they've been out doing with Billy at the concerts.
Yeah. They've been really good about featuring things like the World's Heavyweight Championship on a very popular nightly news program. Sorry, couldn't resist. As a Canadian, I am neither a Democrat nor a Republican, so I feel I can weigh in slightly. And this kind of seemed like an opportunity to say the NWA has gone to Australia. The NWA has gone to Mexico. We're taking our titles, and they did take titles.
Yeah.
But in the time they were gone, you'd think there would be bits like, hey, fans, we're going to watch Trevor Murdoch and Mike Knox take on the Fixers. But just before that, let's take a few shots about what, your world junior champion is down in Sydney right now, and he's defending against this guy. And, or the world tag team champions are taking the titles abroad, making these things more prestigious. And I just thought, we haven't seen any of that. I wonder if we will.
Well, and then you look at the length that USA was this week. We got 21 minutes and 29 seconds, I believe, in total. So
Yep.
that left eight and a half minutes. And with the way that they formatted that show, that could have been an additional 2 matches and a backstage segment.
Right.
Because all of the matches were around 3-ish minutes. And we only got 3 matches. You know, and then it was backstage stuff and commercials.
It's true. We got this is right off after pay-per-view. The boss is here. Hey, Jay. And we didn't get anything other than 20 minutes and was it 3 matches? It was 3 matches. You're right.
3 matches, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they could have thrown a bonus match in, or, I mean, if you're having a new wrestler debut, do a little 30-second blurb of, "Hi, I'm Celeste. I trained at whatever," or "I've been training with so-and-so, and today or tonight, it's my chance to prove what I've been doing, that I want to wrestle this and this." Give us a little background on any people. Each of the matches, you could have added a minute, 2 minutes on, even if it wasn't actual wrestling. It could have been them jaw jacking, going in and out of the ring. Expand those 3 minutes to 5 minutes, and you have close to a half hour.
Yep. And with the Celeste girl wrestler, I couldn't find anything about her online. I put in Celeste wrestler, and I get Celeste Bowman,
Right.
Bonin that wrestled as Caitlyn in WWE.
Yeah, I remember her.
You know, so just
She is
like Dave said, just something, a little informative blurb. Hey, this is me, and this is what I'm looking to do in the NWA because this is what I've done.
Right.
She is a student of Jacob Pritchard Wrestling Academy in Knoxville. Plus, she is also one of the merch girls for the NWA.
Okay.
So she is with them whether she's wrestling or not, and they're finally taking advantage of getting her in there. Granted, she is green, but I'd rather see them learn than not use them at all. I mean, if they're there and you can throw another person in the ring, do it.
Yeah, definitely.
I remember they've done it before, right? Yeah, with Wildcats talent, they did it before, and it was fun.
Yeah.
They explained, "Hey, here's slime season. These are the champs from down here. You know, they look great." You kind of go, like, I remember their tag team name just now, right? That guy who won the TV title shot that he never, what's his name? Jay. He won that shot of the title. You talked to him, Scooby.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And I even forgot who it was.
Well,
yeah.
Jay Spade, right?
Jay Spade, yeah.
Yeah, he's great. Yeah. Speaking of Jays, 21-minute episodes means NWA Mexa could be 4 episodes of USA, NWA USA. Yeah, we're not seeing it.
Yeah.
It's disappointing. Willie chimes in, EC3 defending his national heavyweight championship against potential wrestlers would have been appropriate. Sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Speaking of the length of these shows, you know, we got a really active Discord for the Alliance, and I think it was Heebs and Doty certainly were talking about the length of the shows. You know, would it not be great if we could see a solid 1 hour power, just as a thought, and I'll ask you guys for your thoughts in the chat and YouTube, maybe a 1 hour power and a 30-minute NWA USA every week, rather than 40 minutes for power, 20 minutes for USA, and kind of keep the ball rolling. Like, Jeremy, is that a better format for you? Like, do you want to see more out of power in NWA or USA?
Yeah. You have 2 shows, and in the grand scope of things, And this is one of the reasons why I watch Memphis and Championship Wrestling from Car Shield and Derby City, is because in a lot of ways they are direct competition for the NWA on YouTube.
Yeah.
And you have Memphis that pumps out an hour every Saturday. And then you have Marquez with Derby City and Car Shield that is now pumping out 2 hours a week. But you always get that 1 hour a week of their show. And that's their prime talents that they're wanting to showcase. Why are we not getting that with Power? Power should be your showcase show, and it should be an hour. If you can't come up with a half hour for USA, okay, that is your secondary show. But Power should definitely, there's no reason Power shouldn't be an hour every week.
I think it's got to be differentiated too, Scooby. Like, would you change the announce teams? Would you change the banners around the ring aprons, or the turnbuckles or anything?
If you've been to a taping, you know they just go and go and go. They could change the ring aprons, but I think changing up the announce team, having Joe and maybe Tim Storm on one, and then either Joe and Velvet on another, or Velvet and maybe even Danny Deals on the other, where you switch it up. You know it's being all pre-recorded.
Right.
But it gives it a different flavor and a different taste to your ear, that you're not hearing the same person over and over and over again. And some of the matches, I mean, why is this match taking place? Why are the Fixers and Bobby Fulton butting heads? If you want to expand the show, go back and use previous footage and go, hey, this is why the Fixers have a problem with Mr. Fantastic, Bobby Fulton. And they show 2 or 3 different things that have happened where they've basically had run-ins.
Yeah, recap that
To
story.
the new viewers.
Yeah, exactly that. Jay, go ahead, Dave. Carry on.
And I mean, I usually don't go back and watch old episodes unless something really catches my eye. So remind me. It's one of these things of, do like soap operas. Hey, last week on This Is What Happened. Or, I mean, episodic TV, if it's a 2-parter, they show you what happened the previous episode. Or last week on this, just started off with a match, then they go to the desk, then they go to the open, and then, hey, for those of you that missed, here's what happened last week. And maybe have a minute of what happened last week. Now let's continue with this week's show. Boom.
Yep.
Adding a minute to 2-minute recaps here and there would help make the show flow a lot easier, I believe. And keep this fresh in your mind.
Yeah.
And I think it would increase the production value a little bit, I feel. We talked about this whenever they were doing the tournament, and they just had the little one on camera, and they were talking about what they were going to do, and then it would cut to the person that they were talking about, and they would say what they were going to, and we all agreed that we liked that.
Yeah.
Just those little things would be, just add a touch of production to it.
It's true. The Reluchador says Velvet must be working on her pronunciations, and we're all blessed with her absence. But in all seriousness, I hope nothing bad's happened with her. As I read it on Twitter, her cat was sick, and that sounds silly on the surface, but as a pet owner and lover, I get it. I mean, if the cat is in trouble, here's Mike. If it's an emergency with your cat, if your pet's in trouble, you got to do what you got to do, man.
Yeah, and the
all
cat's
good.
like,
Best wishes.
she's had the cat for like 14 years or something like that. So yeah, I completely get that. Your pet's your pet.
Yeah. I had thrown this up earlier. Jay says he'd like to see monthly tapings for USA separate from Power.
Why not?
And, yeah. And to Willie's point, I agree on changing the ring apron. It looks too indie. Like, I don't mind the different colors. Like I like the blue and the gold. I like the black and the gold. I like the other combos they've had where there's a kind of the orangey, burnt orange color in the gray, and it's been pretty good. But I would even go, like, if you're going to do that, like, I don't want a brand split. Please, for God's sake, don't brand split.
No.
But I still wouldn't mind different shows. Like, I would take Tim Storm, he's not saying a lot on commentary, and I really like Tim Storm.
Yeah.
Make him that authority figure. Like, well, you can come out here, Wrecking Ball Legursky on Power, but this is USA, and this. Oh, actually, I think he's Power, but whatever. This is USA, and this is my show. You need a manager's license to get out of here.
Yeah.
I think you could do stuff like that and treat USA. Jay says like Memphis. Yeah, that's a good analogy. Find a building, just go.
Yep. I completely agree with that.
Yeah.
You can't tell me that in this great country of ours. Great.
It is a great country. You can't say that.
I guess. I'm an anarchist, so. But there's plenty of buildings around. There's plenty of buildings that they could just throw the ring in and set it up and just run tapings. Do it like a factory. Just have them show up 5 days a week, 4 to 8 hours a day. We're going to do tapings.
Yeah. I think Hitman's Mike. You got so many handles, buddy. I can't keep track. But anyway, They should do separate tapings and events. Also increase USA to a full hour. That way they can utilize most of the roster, having angles or storylines without having us watch blindly wondering why one is versing another. Yeah, it makes sense. And we hope they get there. I mean, that'll be great. James Bell's here. Thank you for coming, James. Once a month could easily do a Spanish, Mexican, Latin show using current or past episodes from the Lightning One, which involves a wrestler with that heritage, retell story of Thunder Rosa or Homicide's rise to the belt. Man, I'm in for that.
I fucking like that, James.
I often tell the story that how I came to watch the NWA again, where the Rock and Roll Express, of all things, winning the world tag titles. What made me stay was Thunder Rosa at the time. Yep. Even when it became clear, guys, that Camille was the future, and they had that match where where Thunder Rosa just like ended up laying on the mat going, and that was her way out. Like, this was a great story.
Yeah.
And it was that fire that brought me in. Anyway, I'm waxing philosophic there. Listen, let me show you something on one thing here, if I can. The WWE, I'm sorry to invoke their name, created I'm going to say another world championship. So this is the company, of course, that has the Universal Championship, the blue gold, and the blue belt and the red belt with the big W. They now have a world championship that Triple H apparently unveiled. This is it here. This, of course, is incredibly reminiscent of the NWA World's Heavyweight Championship. Big gold, right?
Mm-hmm.
Here's a shot of the replica right now. If it's very difficult to see because for me, there's too much detail on this thing. There's so little definition because there's so many details. But there's two lions on it on the left and the right. There's a one right down at the bottom. If you can see it under the word champion, there's a lion's head there that looks a lot like New Japan's title or logo rather. Mm-hmm. There's an eagle at the top here, which is nice. It's been the first eagle in a long time, but it's so detail
cluttered.
You can't see any of the details. Like I had to look to see there are clear jewels in this thing.
Yeah.
And they're lost. They're lost in there. Now, I'm not talking about whether or not they should have this title because I don't watch the product. But this particular belt is obviously they wanted the feel of big gold back again. And this is what they had. Wildcat belts, who are legitimate, top of the line, handmade belt maker. Andrew Lazarchik, I believe his name is. He makes belts for the WWE. And I wanted to show it because, like, when people might tell you, like, oh, the NWA, the NWA is just nothing like it used to be. There's no impact. That's an impact. Whether or not you like this belt, Dave, this is reminiscent of our World's Heavyweight Championship that I realize also became WWE's Heavyweight Championship and WCW's, but that all came from the NWA. All they did here, however, was make it smaller, scratch a big W into the middle of it. It's like big gold, only not as good. But what do you think of this belt?
I really don't watch WWE that much, and I'm not really sure why they need another belt unless they're going to. I guess Roman Reigns is a dual champion, unless they're going to combine those belts. I'm not really sure what they're going after. I mean, I really can't talk because the NWA has so many belts themselves, but I have no control over that. Don't have control over WWE, and it's another product that they can sell online, replica wise.
$500, by the way.
Looks nice, but to me, it's just another belt. It doesn't have the history. You have to make the history. Whereas if you know what the 10 pounds of gold is, even through the lean years, you know that Charlie held the 10 pounds of gold. You know the story of Adam Pearce and Colt Cabana battling, doing the 7 levels. Pardon me. This belt, they're starting at ground zero. It may have history behind it, but as you know, with any wrestling organization, they can rewrite history, make it their own.
Yeah.
Belt. It's just another WWE belt to me. I'm not a real big WWE fan. I watch it in the background, but they need to make history with this belt. And right now they're on ground zero. They need to slowly move it up and make it into something.
I believe Triple H said something about how he wants it to be a belt that's defended all the time, everywhere, all over. That's a TV title to me. But they slapped another world on it, Jeremy. And like, look, you can look at this belt and like you have your own honest opinion. Obviously, it has the same medallions as the Intercontinental does right now. I think Wildcat made that one too, and the same W as the SmackDown and Raw belts. But is this belt, guys, whether you guys like it or not, and I think some people in the chat do, is that belt anywhere close to this belt? Just you guys, like, WWE owns this belt. If you wanted this, just bring it back. Anyway, what did you think of it, Jeremy?
Way too much filigree on it. Whenever I saw it on TV, it just looked like someone had planted the WWE logo into the middle of a mound of gold. It didn't have really any definition or anything on it. I had to zoom in on the picture that you posted in our Discord to see the lions and stuff. And once I saw them, I can't unsee them now.
Right.
But upon first glance, it was muddled looking, and it still is to a fair degree. It is hard to locate the two lions and all that through all that filigree. It could have been toned down a little bit more, and on the flip side of that, popped up a little bit more, given a little bit more color. I think that's the thing right now. Colorful belts are coming back, and depending on how they do it, they can look really good. This one was just a big fail for me. It's very small, and I really feel that it's just a carrot that's being dangled out there for the fans. Like Dave said, it's another thing to put in the store, and it's another championship. The Universal Championships were their world championships.
Yeah.
And then they made them universals, and then they merged them into one, and now we're getting another one that within a couple of years is probably going to be merged into with the two that they have already for whatever reason.
Is the NXT title also a world championship?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
I don't know.
I know looking at that and not hating WWE, just not watching it. I saw that that unveiling and trying to be, neutral about it. All I could think of was Stu Bennett just saying, "Guess what's coming back at the Crockett Cup, guys," and then reaching over on top of this belt to take off the thing and looking at the camera and going, like it's this thing again. It's bringing it back. It's tradition. You love this,
Yeah.
You love the red TV title, guys. And I looked at this thing and went, tradition means nothing to this company. WWE. Willie said, oh, wait, let's go a little bit higher. Willie says, however, WWE is like having a migraine headache and being nauseous. Well, I can't argue. I don't watch it. I'm going to come back to your previous comment there, Mike. But Mike likes the belt. Reminds him of Big Gold and the New Japan Pro Wrestling Old title. Jay also really likes it. You don't have to apologize. To each their own. I'm not here to yuck your yum. I don't super hate it, but I wouldn't buy one. Willie's still biased towards the 10 pounds of gold and World Heavyweight Championship belt. And says, please take the title away from Tyrus. He's tainting the championship. I could see the belt, Jay says, being more international. Well, is the European title ever international? Did it? I mean, it went to England maybe once or twice. Other than that,
and that's something that I was thinking about the other night whenever I was watching SmackDown. Sorry, Willie, I watch a lot of different shit, but it has their world title ever really been a world title? Has it ever been defended outside of the scope of the WWE? And for that matter, has it been defended on world levels and stages? Not really.
Not really.
It's never been defended outside of the WWE.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And rarely has it gone anywhere outside of the States.
It's true. Or Canada, I guess, but not Mexico and not Japan, not for many, many years, as far as I can recall. I think WWE uses the term world very generously. So is the NWA right now, but I'm not spitting on the title. There's 6 world titles in the NWA right now.
Now, I do want to say that I do feel that is something that Triple H was work because they'll be going to Puerto Rico for Backlash. I think they just did the Clash at the Castle thing. What was that, last year? So I do think that he is wanting to expand out more. But now with the sale, who knows what's going to happen?
Yeah. Yeah.
And yes, Willie, I do mean snooze down. It is boring at times, but there is some stuff that happens on it that isn't bad. There's a reason why I don't talk about the WWE like I do the other stuff, because it really doesn't grab me. It never really has, but it's wrestling at the end of the day, and I'm a mark for wrestling.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. Jay's saying Inoki wrestled for it in Japan as part of the NWF. When did Inoki retire? He died like a year ago, right? He was like 80 then, I think. So I'm just saying it's been a really long time if we have to go back that far. The shores in Saudi and Japan, Saudi's fair.
This is true. This is true. I always forget about the blood money.
But we all, that's true. But we should talk about that someday, and we should have everyone put on tweed coats and let's have a political conversation. This is my pipe. That's what I was doing there.
I've got a 1-1.
Yeah, there you go. Anyway, I thought I'd talk about that because I like belts. And
it was a hot topic on Twitter as well. It's from what I've read, it's very divisive.
That's because we are so down with the sickness on this podcast, so to speak, which in itself is a term that's 20 years old.
Wow.
Anyway, listen, we often hear from Rick Del Santo on the show, and Rick does an excellent show that actually some of us are going to appear on in the near future as well. So please listen to this just for a quick moment.
PWZ Podcast with Rick Del Santo. For all your wrestling reviews, interviews, and news, Rick covers the United Wrestling Network, the NWA, and the Northeast region of the United States independent scene. PWZ keeps you in the zone.
How did he do that voice, do you think? That BWZ. It's pretty good.
I like it.
Yeah, it's nice. Just going back to the chat quickly. Vince never forgets about the blood money. Not disagreeing with you. Willie doesn't like Vince. let's leave with that. You mean Gomez Adams?
Hey! Gomez was an honest, honorable, true, dear to his wife through thick and thin and everything.
He was, but he was also a lawyer. Gomez was a lawyer, though. My counter. Anyway, let's talk about NWA USA, guys. Let's do the deep dive from this past Saturday. What are we talking about? We got Labrava Escobar. It's a 20-minute show. Hopefully, well, not hopefully, but it shouldn't take us too long. Labrava Escobar, relative newcomer to the NWA. She is accompanied by CJ, a.k.a. Christy James. And she's taking on the newcomer Celeste that we mentioned in the beginning. Was a student of who, Dave? Celeste? Who's
she is from Pritchard, Jacobs Pritchard Wrestling Academy.
I used to own one of their T-shirts. No, I don't. It's a deep cut for the other Alliance guys. We get Joe, Danny Deals, and Tim Storm on commentary. Timmy Thunder, Joey G, the Deal Man, the Deal Machine, Daniel W. Deals on commentary. So CJ's with Escobar. I think it was Fuzz in our Discord who said, "Can we just let her wrestle already, CJ,
Right.
please?"
Please.
Before she kind of forgets how to. It's been so long. She's such a good wrestler. She's so entertaining. Celeste for me is a passable wrestler, but like Labrava, for me only, and I know there are people who think differently, and that's all good. Less than exciting. I'm not a huge fan yet of either one. I've seen Labrava a few times. And I'm like, she's passable, and hopefully she'll get into a groove and, start firing off on all cylinders, and we'll all get interested. This was a fairly back and forth match, but far from interesting for me. It ends when CJ causes an awkward distraction of sorts, and Escobar wins with what they call the cravat driver over the newcomer Celeste. Jeremy, what did you think of this match?
It was what it was. It builds up Labrava, gets her win under her belt, introduced us to a newcomer. So
yeah. Dave, we haven't seen Celeste before, obviously, as we've talked about. What did you think of her, and what did you think of the match?
I mean, she is still green, but if you have someone there to put somebody over, why not use them?
Right.
She's getting experience, plus it gives Labrava a win, and it builds on the storyline. I was there for the tapings. Down the line, you'll see Labrava in a new light, hopefully, and hopefully you'll like where she goes.
Okay.
She is a talented wrestler, but it's actually turning the key and switching her from her being basically fodder for other wrestlers to building her up into a reputable wrestler. And that's what they should use USA for. But the match could have been a few minutes longer to build up, but I mean, it like Jeremy said, it was what it was. We got a winner, we got a loser. On to the next.
And honestly, now that you guys have kind of pointed out it is what it is, and it's the opening match, and everyone's got their role, it also might have been, maybe I should be looking past it wasn't much for me, to there's that old story, and I actually don't remember all the details, but somebody went out, had an amazing 5-star match, came back, and Dusty said, "Don't ever do that again."
Yep.
No one can follow that shit. So maybe they were just told, do 5 minutes and, make it passable, get the facebuster finish, and let's go home, right?
Probably.
So that they might have had that as something to, guiding the match. Our friend Dodie asked, can the NWA just let Velvet go away? Because we got Danny Deals and how well he does commentary.
He is a breath of fresh air on commentary. I enjoy how well he gels with everybody else. It doesn't matter who they put him on. He gels with them really well. The chemistry is automatically there. Right.
Willie makes a good point, though, Dodie. Velvet Sky's eye candy. Deals isn't. I feel like she'd be really good. I know my wife agrees, too, that she'd be good in a spot like Mae Valentine's got right now.
Is that eye candy the kind that's already out, the wrapper that you find in the crevices of the couch? Because I don't see it.
Well, I mean, to each their own, I guess. Hey, Gomez was an OG.
Yes, sir.
Mike says this was a flat match. Should have been on Power. Nothing with the both of them or CJ. Lots of these faces are new to NWA. Indies are not. Many of them, it seems, aren't ready for the format of wrestling itself that NWA has. Again, this should have been on Power. Too much happy feet in it. Yeah, you can. I know what you mean about the the nerves and the
Yeah.
footwork that brings out as well.
Yep.
I don't know why that would go on Power though. It seems like USA for me would be the kind of show that this would go on, but I'll leave that to you. May Valentine, guys, is with the Savages. Chris Silvio, he's very unhappy, gentlemen. The NWA is trying to crumble the empire by making it difficult for them to qualify for the Crockett Cup just because they took out the Gentlemen the previous week. So Dane is may ask him, like, why did you attack the Gentlemen? And he starts running through his legacy. He says, listen, I'm a former NWA world champion. I'm a former world tag team champion. And then Bulletproof Troop cuts him off and says, yeah, they made fun of Jax's vest. And starts and like Jax is like, I'll get to this in a second, but he looks like affronted that they, one of two things. It's not clear to me. But he looks like he's either pissed off that he's been cut off or that he's pissed off that they didn't like his vest. Troop does his nap tap or slap. I don't remember what it is, his line.
Snap or nap.
Snap. That's the other one. That's it. I didn't realize if I thought of a teasing a break already between these two because Dane looked like he might, like, why are you cutting me off is how I read it the first time. And then the second time, I think Dave, that he was feigning being offended that they would ever say something about his vest. I'm not sure what they were trying to convey. What about you?
I mean, it was. I hate to say it was what it was. They need to realize not everything has to be a one take. That if they veer to the right or to the left, they can always stop and reset. Nothing is live unless they show it to you live.
I agree.
The tapings, if they want to start a match over, they can start a match over. Or it's one of these things that when you're taping something, a producer of a show will sit and watch it and go, okay, this is good, going along. Okay, it dips down. Okay, at this point it dips down. Mark that down so when you go back to watch it, you know that at 3 minutes to the match, somebody made a mistake or somebody didn't follow through and they had to reset. So it's one of these things that pay attention to what's going on, and you can always do a retake because it's live to tape. It's not live direct to your TV screen.
Right. I agree with you. And part of it that took me out of it too, I actually laughed out loud, legitimately, was you've got Chris Silvio, who's the biggest, mouthpiece that is. Maybe Aaron Stevens has him beat. I don't know. But he also looks like a tough guy.
Mm-hmm.
And you got Jack Stain and you got Bulletproof Troop. They are being portrayed to you as the baddest mofos on the planet right now, right?
They're the Savages.
They're the Savages. And you've got May Valentine, who I thought played this all wrong to the point where you should maybe consider doing it all over again. She doesn't have to be pushed around by any means. I don't want that. But I want to see her like, oh, these are like super big, mean guys. And at the end of it, she has this big smile. She goes, okay, thanks, Savages. I'm like, why are we watching this?
Yep.
Anyway, Jeremy, what did you think of this segment?
I got to hear Silvio talk, which is always fun, and Jack Stain listing off his numerous accolades is always good content. Troop lost me with the walking around putting our names in their mouths, and I'm going to put my hand in your mouth, and he shows a fist. And That's not how we talk. You want to walk around, put my name in your mouth, I'm going to put my fist in your mouth.
Yeah.
He needs a little bit more work.
You guys ever seen Trainwreck, the Amy Schumer movie?
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
John Cena's hilarious in that movie. And like that's what it reminded me of. Like his banter's awful. So funny. I'm not even going to repeat it here because we would get demonetized, but it's very funny. Hey, Scooby, Mike said he agrees with you. Billy should enforce more takes. This comes across as campy, not organic. Troop is seeming more and more like a goof with his tagline. Dane looks strong, of course.
Yep.
I would, Dane is huge. Looks like he's packing it on a little bit. I mean, and I'm not like, who am I? So am I, but he'll kill me if he ever catches me. But he does look a little heavier than he has been in the past.
Yeah.
What do we get next? Okay. Jeremiah Plunkett, who it's my understanding is on the show tomorrow night.
Yeah.
The Alliance guys. Jeremiah Plunkett versus Salazar de la Muerte. Deals does say that Plunkett is still under contract with him. So that's interesting.
Not under contract. He just has papers on him.
He's got papers on. Isn't that the same thing?
No.
Oh.
No.
What's the difference?
I don't know, but it's not the same thing. He said, I've got papers on him. He didn't say contract. I don't think that they can be contractual.
Like, I still own that dog, even though it doesn't live in my house anymore.
There you go.
Okay.
He's on lease.
I'm going to gush for this match by the end of it here, but bear with me. Plunkett has early control with a lot of side headlocks and takeovers. He out-wrestles Salazar. He's got this leg lock deal that he's got going, while Salazar's a brawler, lots of punches and kicks. It's a great line in the middle by Deal. It's about speaking Carney. Really enjoyed it. The headbutt that Plunkett delivered hurts them both. I'll give it up to Salazar for what they call the Seidel suplex. It looked pretty cool. I enjoyed it. In the end, nearing the end, Salazar goes for a clothesline. Plunky, friend of the Alliance, he retaliates with some punches, and a moment later, it's Jeremiah Plunkett with the pile driver for the win. It's the highlight of the match and the show for me is this one moment. And I get caught on the little stuff, guys. I'll be the first to admit it. But he snatches him in. He picks him up. He drops him fast and quick. And it's precise. And Salazar goes to the side. Watch Plunkett float over, press down on the shoulder and the leg like a real pin, facing the hard cam.
Yes, sir.
Expertly done. I was like, this is the best pile driver. Like you can just see with Plunkett, he knows where he is at all times. He remembers how to wrestle. And I hope that this is a little bit of a push. Well, I was going to say towards the TV title, Jeremy, but we all kind of bantered on Twitter over the last day about the junior heavyweight title. And he says he's dropping weight and going for that belt. What did you think of this match?
It had Plunky in it, friend of the show. So, I was expecting a good match, and that's what I got. I popped at the beginning whenever Salazar started speaking Spanish, and he's just like, "Whoa, hang on a minute there. I barely speak English, bro. I don't know any Spanish." That one got me, and then they got right into it, and I really liked the Salazar de la Muerta guy. I like his look. He kind of had kind of a Kane-ish look vibe to him.
Right.
A glorious beard. I mean, I was envious of that beard that he's got. But it was a good match for no longer than what it was. I really enjoyed it. And that pile driver, I like it. Oh, just beautiful. That was textbook through and through.
Yep, it sure was. The Reluchador says Salazar de la Muerte is an awesome name. And J. Cal points out that Jeremiah Plunkett will be on tomorrow. We're asking him about his run at the junior heavyweight, where he said he either wants that crown title or the return of the cloverleaf. So that's Denny Brown, and it'll come back to me. What did you think of this match, Dave?
I thought it was a very good match. It built Plunkett back up after the ill-begotten breakup. I personally think that Jeremiah should be a mainstay on USA for the next couple of tapings, just so he can work with the under talent, work with up-and-comers while also building himself back up. And then down the line, have him be one of the, I guess you'd say, finalists if Tom does move on from the TV title and goes on up. JP is just, his style of wrestling is just it's classic NWA. He has the style of, whether it's a enhancement talent or a superstar, he has whatever role you need him to play, he plays it very well.
Yep.
That this breakup gives him a chance to work more one-on-one with up-and-comers, plus also build up his win-loss record while not depending on a partner that may lose a match. It's all on him. So
He's
I
clear.
would see him win. And looking forward to see what he does in the future.
Yeah, he's clearly well respected around the NWA, and not only by us, but by the folks backstage. He's a coach, he does that for a living beyond this, and it'll be nice to see where this goes. Agree with Jeremy. Mike says papers isn't a contract unless it's a contract on paper. Plunkett should just kick Deal's ass and align himself with the Southern Six. Let's see if the Southern Six come back a thing. That'd be fun.
Plunkett said yesterday in the pre-party chat, though, that him and Deals go way back. So Deals has never done him wrong. So
this is true. Sorry, it's another for USA, not Power. This is USA we're talking about. Plunkett hasn't done much of anything lately or faced anyone notable. Now he wins, but against someone you say who should have been on USA to push him. It was on USA, so we're all good. Jay agrees with the Reluchador that Salazar de la Muerte is an awesome name. I'm not really a fan myself. I feel like people need last names or first names, and that monikers are great, but there's too many coming to the ring. Bailey. I mean, just stop it. Yeah. Salazar of the Death? I don't know. Anyway, Plunkett, he was agreeing with you up till this, Scooby, and I'm sure including this. Plunkett is a great utility wrestler. Shame he gets lost in the shovel, having to face up-and-comers. A paycheck's a paycheck. This is a SAG after. This is for SAG after credits, but for us and viewers, put USA in a prominent angle. Yeah, I think and I mean no disrespect, because he's one of my top 5 favorite guys in the whole company. He knows the role that he's playing.
Yeah,
and every once in a while he gets one of these, and it's just to I think to remind us that he is, if he's enhancement talent, he is the best enhancement talent that that there is. He's not going to be an easy cakewalk for anybody. We get May with Bobby Fulton. May says, you're managing Dak Draper and Mims versus Fixers Nation today. And he says, May, someone stole my blue jacket. We've heard that story before. Today, the Fixers are going to get theirs. He won't be bullied. He says, I'm sorry, I'm spitting. I'm so mad. The Fixers don't rule. The Fixers suck. He says again, he kind of apologizes that he's spitting. It's all good, Bobby. What are you gonna do when you're put in front of the camera? But oh boy, Dave. I'm trying to be generous to a guy considered to be a tag team legend from this company, but while I want to see him successful and part of a fun angle, he has some issues that are happening on screen and make it a little difficult to watch, or more importantly, to understand. What do you think, Dave?
Well, I understand what they're trying to do. I think they should tell the story and use what he does to his advantage. That he can't speak, that he gets so riled up that he just walks away in anger. That more or less, it's one of these things of, I'm so frustrated. Somebody stole my jacket. I can't take it anymore, and just walks off and leaves. That it's story to be continued. Tell it in short little spurts that don't show his weakness as much.
Right.
And I know that the weakness is due to his medical condition that he had, but they don't need to stretch it out. Less is more in the case of Bobby Fulton.
It's true. Mrs. Wood says, rough. This was rough to watch. Mike Jeremy says, please stop. I have to see Fulton struggle, and I keep saying, I'm sorry I'm spitting to the public. Can't they cut a different camera angle so it doesn't blatantly look like Fulton is watching a monitor for his lines? I don't know. I like the part that got me out of this too, other than the obvious, was that she said, you're managing Draper and Mims versus Fixer Nation. Did he come out for Draper Mims versus Fixer Nation? I don't know, Jeremy. What did you think of this?
Moving on to May Valentine with Daisy Kill and Talos.
Moving on.
This was no. In all seriousness, though, I agree with Raluca. It was rough to watch. I used this analogy last week of Montana going to the Chiefs, and I get it. He wants to be involved, or they want him to be involved, but somebody has to say no.
Right.
No. Look, he's like Dave said. They need to work to his strengths. As soon as he came out there, hey, they stole my blue jacket, and then started. Sorry, I'm just so mad. I can't do it, and just storm off.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with that. He's still getting his point across. But to stand there and just keep him propped up on a damn stick, essentially. This is it. It's like fucking Bernie at Weekend at Bernie's.
Ouch. Yeah. Yeah.
That's really how it feels to me, and it's just sad.
It is. Well, hopefully they'll use him in a different and greater capacity, but hasn't gone that way so far. Wish him all the best. I'm sure we all do. May then gets Daisy Kill and Talos. I haven't noticed. I'll have to check next time. Do they have to pull the camera back for Talos? I'm going to check next time. Do they roll in front of she basically says, you've made a splash in the NWA, and I kind of thought, have you? I don't know that you've been winning. But tonight you get Bully Daisy Kill, and he basically says Bully's tough. He might be better than me, but he's not as good looking as me, and more importantly, he doesn't have Talos. So I like my chances. Jeremy, Daisy Kill can talk.
Yeah.
What did you think of his segment? Carlos was just
I dig this guy. I like him. He has that I want to punch you face. He's that I want to punch you guy, and then throw him across the room. But then see if he wants to go smoke a joint. You're probably going to end up punching him again and tossing him again. But he just seems like that kind of guy. He has a charisma to him, and he plays that little shitty heel quite well. I mean, I think it was in the chat last night. Somebody was like, "Why would you call yourself Daisy Kill? When you got somebody as big as Talos standing next to you, you can call yourself any damn thing you want. You can behave however in the hell you want. As long as you're not ruffling his feathers, he's going to do whatever you want."
yeah, it's true.
And Talos is the star in this. I can see Daisy hanging around, and like I said, I like him, but Talos is the star of these two.
Yeah,
That's what's getting the push, I feel.
It's true. It's very DiBiase and Andre back in the day, where DiBiase was like, "Ha ha ha! Listen to me talk. I got all the money. Everything's amazing." And Andre was just like, "Hogan," like. And Andre's going to WrestleMania, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I agree with you there, Dave. What did actually just before you do that, I don't want to shut Mike out completely, but talking about Fulton is just reminding him how Bobby Heenan was, later in life.
Yeah.
That's tough to see too. And I know part of all of us, I'm sure, wants to go, "Hey, it's Bobby Fulton, it's Bobby Heenan. Let him do what he wants." But I don't know. Dave, what did you think of the segment?
I thought it was a good segment. It's basically, I mean, Daisy Kill is taking some of the he's taking control, but he's taking control because he knows he has Talos behind him. It's almost like what is it? The Tom and Jerry, the big bulldogs. He does all the talking, and then because he knows he has the big bulldog behind him.
Right.
He can do all the talking. He has Talos behind him. When they wrestle, he can always tag out to Talos to get the big moves, whereas he can take a lot of punishment. And I mean, it's one of the, they're building off of each other. Talos can actually talk, but they choose to do the silent, big, violent character and just let his wrestling do the talking. Whereas Daisy Kill will talk and even talk more when he knows he's going to get his ass kicked.
Yeah.
Yeah, well said. I like that. I think it's Warner Brothers, that bulldog with a little dog dancing around him. George, he's my friend, kind of thing. Yeah. Yeah, it's a good analogy. Magnum Muscle versus Matt Vine and the Fixer. Fixer Nation. No real explanation as to who Fixer Nation was, but as you may remember, Matt Vine was a fixer before he was injured a long time ago. It would have been nice to have some talk about how that was a thing. But they're against Magnum Muscle here, Dak Draper and Mims. Masked Man, the Fixer. Anyway, the Fixer is small. Pretty sure I know who he is, but we just don't do that around here. In fact, I do know who it is, but you can look it up yourself if you want to on Cage Match. The Fixer is small and he's tossed around by Dak Draper pretty easily. Dak really just kind of flings him about here and there. He has good skills. He's adequate. He's quick. He's more than adequate, actually, if you know who he is. But Dak just treats him in this mask persona like he's not much. Stands on him when he tags to Mims. Mims works Fixer over. Matt Vine, Matty Ice, as they call him, finally in, and he gets into this stalemate lockup with Draper, which I thought was a little bit odd because, while Matt Vine is in good shape, Doc Draper is the Mile High Muscle. Like, it didn't seem like an equal thing that should be happening to me. The exchange holds. Mims is in after some Vine work on Draper, but a tag to Fixer. The Fixer sends it down to the toilet for Fixer Nation. Magnum Muscle beats the shit out of him. And Matty Ice ends up coming in for the end of this thing for a double team. It's a strange power slam suplex thing that isn't timed exactly right because they seem to still be working some of this stuff out. It's an awkward second hand double team move, but they get the win. And hey, Magnum Muscle, I think if I remember correctly, this had Crockett Cup implications, but so I'll stop there because the Fixer Nation aren't in the Crockett Cup at this point. Jeremy, what did you think of the main event?
The Fixer, boy, oh boy, was he excited.
Mike said he needed to be a mile high to watch this match.
It was weird. Like you said, why didn't they acknowledge that Matt Vine had previously been a Fixer, had been aligned with them, and then got sidelined due to injury? I really enjoy Magnum Muscle. They're gelling really well. The tags in and out, and then the tag team moves, the matching gear. That's all great. Matt Vine was serviceable, and so was the Fixer. It just fell flat for me. It didn't feel like a main event match at all.
Right. Why? Because continuity is evil.
Right.
I missed a couple of Willie comments. Daisy Kill should change his name. Doesn't pass the sniff test for me either. Dumb and Dumber, the Fixers. Yeah. Dave, what did you think of the match? Was it awkward and like head scratchy to you too? You were there, right?
I was there, and I mean, being there live, there was no explanation, but they could have explained, and I mean, even gone back and shown Matt as the flag bearer for them to explain. Give us a 30-second blurb of, hey, if you don't know who Matt Vine is, he has history with the Fixers going back as their flag bearer, and we have his tag partner, Mystery Man. He is simply known as the Fixer, part of the Fixer Nation.
Yeah.
Quick 20, 30-second explanation. It wasn't a bad match. It just wasn't a strong match.
Yeah.
That Magnum Muscle won, but it really didn't put them over as much as it could have. That if you have guys that size, there should just be a lot of forearms, a lot of just power moves.
Mm-hmm.
So
I agree.
I mean, it's one of those things of it didn't hurt them, but it could have helped them a lot more with a little stronger of a match.
Yeah.
No explanation for anything for that match. Mile High is looking like a cartoon tag team with their posing at the end, like an 80s teen model on Tiger Beat.
I got that vibe too there at the beginning when they did the pose thing. It was kind of cheesy, but at the same instance, it makes them more of a team as well, though. You know,
I'm with Willie, man. NWA US Tag Team Champions, Magnum Muscle. I'd be all for that.
I can get with that.
Yeah, I think that's a perfect fit. That was a 20-minute. It took us longer to talk about it than the show actually did. But that was Power. That was NWA USA for this week. And we're going to move over to our top 3 matches from the UWN in a segment from a guy we like to call Championship Wrestling from Jeremy.
I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
The following is a presentation of the United Wrestling Network.
It's time for Championship Wrestling from Jeremy.
Hey, somebody tell J-Cal that Marquez was on like arm bars and sidebars or whatever it's called today or yesterday, and like they had him for an hour and a half. So that'd be a hell of a get.
Right.
Yeah. That's what do you got for us, Jer? What's going on in the UWN?
First, I want to say hey to Rick. Thanks for joining.
Oh, right on,
hey guys.
Hey, Rick. We did your ad earlier, buddy.
This week we got my Memphis match of the week was the Memphis Tag Team title match between the Posse and Derek the King. If the Posse were in the WWE, Vince would have given them a Tweedledee Tweedledum gimmick. I really feel that.
Well, the way they dress, 100%.
Yeah. But the Posse came out and said that the King's time was up and they go to the ring. The King comes out and acknowledges that Ray Sanders is unable to compete right now, but as sure as his name is Derek, by God, greater than Great the King, he's going to beat them himself. The match started off with King mostly getting knocked around with reversals and escapes here and there. King is able to avoid the tag team move and get in a couple jabs and deliver a super kick to Simon and Little Chris, but was unable to make the pin as it took everything he had. Just as that's going on, Ray Sanders comes out from the back and rips his shirt off to show his bandaged up ribs. Dustin says that Ray must have been reevaluated as Ray gets up on the ring apron, hand extended for the tag. King's able to make the hot tag, and Ray comes in like a house on fire, quickly leveling both of the members of the Posse. Simon attempted to blind Ray with hand powder, but Ray kicked it back in his face, causing Simon to slam Little Chris. Ray climbed to the top rope as King super kicked Simon out of the ring. Ray lands a beautiful top rope dive. He had the arms back and air. That was beautiful.
Was good.
He landed that top rope dive on Little Chris for the 3 count, and new Memphis Wrestling Tag Team Champions Derek the King and Ray Sanders.
I'm going to throw up some comments for you when you're done, Memphis, so let me know.
Okay. The pop from the crowd was huge for the room. And Ray's family was there to celebrate in the ring. And the live reaction after the show, Dustin did make mention that Martin Precious is no longer with Memphis and would not be back.
I didn't hear that.
Yep.
Huh. All right. Well, in the WWE, and remind me again who the modern day equivalent of Road Warrior Hawk and Road Warrior Animal. What are their names again?
Simon and Little Chris.
Right. They would be fired in the WWE.
Yep.
Looking like old fat 20s swimsuit bottles with their Keystone Cup. You know, like those people on the beach with their body. That's perfect, Mike.
It's so true.
He didn't like it. I guess it was bad even in the end. I liked the whole Ray coming out with the busted ribs and making his dive and everything.
Yeah.
Derek King needs to retire before he starts looking like Beetlejuice from
Oh, wow.
The very next day, that motherfucker was dead. Anyway, love Beetlejuice. Why show their mama falling going into the ring? They should have cut that out. I didn't see that.
I didn't catch that either.
No, but the dive was good. Yeah. Anyway, good match. Yeah.
Yeah. Then we go to Championship Wrestling presented by Car Shield. And this, I chose the United Heritage Championship match between BHK Kevin Martinson and Charles R3 Cassius. Martinson didn't even take off his robe or allow R3 to get into the ring before he hit a senton, dive over the top rope onto R3 and Final Destination. Right after that, the ref tossed Final Destination out, making this a 1v1, which was a very smart move by the ref, I felt. Let's see. R3 quickly turned things around and gained the upper hand over Martinson. At one point, Martinson gets R3 in a sort of an arm bar and then super kicks R3 out of the ring. He goes for a dive, but R3 caught him and drove him into the ring post. After this, we got some good back and forth with a pin attempt by R3 that was that close to a 3 count.
Yeah.
From there, though, Martinson's able to hit a big DDT, followed up by a top rope knee drop to the back of R3's head, rolls him over, makes the pin for the 3 count to retain. Immediately after that, though, Final Destination were right there at the curtains, essentially, and came out to attack him. So this isn't the last that we'll see of this story. This is going to go on, and I'm here for it. I enjoyed that match a lot. I like what BHK does. He's quite the innovative guy. We then go to my match of the week for Derby City, and I chose the Pope versus Dylan Bostic. The Pope was introduced as the former NWA World Television Champion, and commentary put him over by referring to his time in NWA, Impact, and the WWE. I was unfamiliar with Bostic, but when he started out, he was apparently called the Justin Bieber of wrestling. He worked about a dozen matches in the NWA between 09 and 17, OVW from 11 to 15, Championship Wrestling from Hollywood, and UWN from 16 to 18. And he was one half of a squash duo for the big guy Ryback in WWE. This was a solid match from bell to bell. Pope looked great, and Bostic works the heel roll really well. Good back and forth. Everything they did made sense and wasn't rushed. The crowd responded well at all the spots that you'd expect them to. Both men were very methodical throughout the match, working holds and the crowd. At one point, Bostic was able to expose the turnbuckle while the ref was counting Pope, who had been forced out by Bostic. The Pope made his way back into the ring and got a sunset flip into a roll-up for a 2 count. But when Bostic kicked out, he wisely retreated to the exposed corner and moved just as Pope was going for a corner splash, causing Pope to hit the turnbuckle and in turn allowing Bostic to get his arm across the Pope for a shocking 3 count win.
Yeah.
There was a very audible gasp from the crowd, and it worked. We'll see more of these two in the future, I'm positive. And again, it's another one that I'm here for. I like what Dave's doing in Derby City, and the crowd seems to be solidly behind every match that went on with that. They're responding when they should. Right. And all that. So me and Lamb talked about this a little in his Discord. He hasn't had the best luck with expansions so far, but I'm hoping that this one is the ticket for him, and this is one that hangs around for longer than Arizona and Atlanta were able to.
I agree. It was a lot of fun. I'm trying to remember who made Marquez start breaking up on Derby City. It was Zicky Dice.
Yeah.
In the beginning, when I run, Dave knows too, when I run Derby City, I'm going to fire you. And it'll be just like every other place you've ever been worked and fired from it. Marquez goes,
yep.
So you don't have to get personal. That's pretty good.
You have a really good rapport, though.
Yeah.
But
sure.
As I say every week, you need to be watching these shows. If you're not watching any of the three, Hornswoggle will leave an Amber Heard present in your bed.
Oh, man. Mike says, great match, but Bostic looks like shit now.
Yeah, he does. He pudged up.
You will see more of Bostic and others in months to come in tapings. Bostic's been in OVW, DCW, NWA, AEW, and others. He's a Rip Rogers student. He's
Yeah.
close with Marquez. Just because someone said Rip Rogers and they won't for another year. There's a really cool book I just pulled up from behind from this guy named Caleb Hall, called The Book on Pro Wrestling. And it's not an expertly written book. Like, this is from a guy who learned lessons from Rip Rogers and just put them all in like a wrestler's handbook. It's like large print, like, you know, it's stuff on psychology, it's stuff on selling, and it's very cool stuff. So pick it up. I don't know where you can get it. I have no idea. Check on Amazon. I don't know if they still sell it or not, but it's a kind of a rare find. Appreciate that. Thank you, my friend. Always UWN, so much fun.
Yeah.
Let us go now over to, this is what I say when I'm not prepared. I try to stretch things out. And I take the logo away. And I close that. And I open a video clip to I respect you, Booker Man. So Dave poses a question around the Crockett Cup. Should the winner of the Crockett Cup be the next contender for La Rebellion? I'm going to give you the bandwidth, Dave, but I'm listening.
Okay. Crockett Cup winner. I'm not sure if they're doing 16 teams or 8 teams, being that they're having qualifying matches already now on Power and USA. But depending on if there are any outside teams brought in, I'd say the top 4 Crockett teams should automatically be in the mix for the World Tag Team titles, and possibly even knock one of them down to the U.S. belts. The Savages, I think they're building pretty well. Blunt Force Trauma is a good tag team if Aaron isn't in the picture. They just seem to always be getting disqualified. They aren't able to build up momentum. I'm not sure if they're going to do the storyline of pulling the masks off and having someone else manage them. But I would like to see Murdoch and Knox be pushed to the Crockett Cup.
Right.
Unless there's an outside team, possibly FTR, but they just re-signed, or if the Von Erichs would be able to come in. That you would always look to do legacy, but right now, if they're pushing NWA teams, Murdoch and Knox, they're the flavor of the week.
I got no problem with them winning if that happens.
I mean, I'd love to see them pushed. If they win, they could go against La Rebellion. I'd love to see them actually win the tag belts. But giving them a chance to work with younger teams, they can work almost any style. So I would push them and have them go against La Rebellion for the belts at 75. Now your 5 and 6 teams, even possibly your top 8 teams, you take your lower half, keep those teams around to work with the country gentlemen if they're still the U.S. tag champions. It's always good to have more teams than you need because it's variety. Unless you're doing a strict team versus team and it's going to be, we're having 7 matches and whoever wins the most goes on to whatever. And unless there's a stipulation, the more teams you have make your champions look stronger.
Right.
My one thing is please keep the Mortons out of the semifinals.
Oh.
That the Mortons, I think this is the start of the storyline of I'm Kerry Morton. You're my dad, but I'm better than you. I have a championship belt. That this is the turn where Ricky inadvertently does something to have the Mortons lose, and this starts the ball rolling where Robert Gibson can either come back and team up with Ricky for the rock and roll last ride, or he actually comes in and Ricky's like, you got to talk with Kerry. He's not listening to what I'm saying. And then you have basically Robert turn on Ricky and go, dude, you're not your father. You're your father's son. You need to do your own thing. And it's basically, thanks, Uncle Robert. You told me what I needed to hear, not what my dad wants me to do.
Wow.
So it could go either way. I would like to see them actually do the break once they have their final tag match in the NWA. Have them turn so there's quote unquote no chance of them teaming back up, that the Rock and Roll Express is dead.
Interesting. Wow. That's the angle of the year in the NWA.
I mean, it would get two guys that are over 60 years old. It would get some notice.
Yeah, it would.
Get some notice. So,
Doty says Aaron's making blunt force trauma. I know he means disqualified. He says that later. Over and over again. Another one of Billy's garbage bookings that makes Tyrus look like Andre. So I think he's agreeing that in a fashion that's not a great fit if you keep booking them that way for blunt force trauma. Maybe they end up going against Aaron. But to your question, I guess, just to finish up, would you put the winners against La Rebellion right away?
if they win the Crockett Cup, I'm not sure what Billy would have to do. That I'm sure there's some stipulation that they could say, oh, the winner of the Crockett Cup goes against the current tag team champions of the NWA at NWA 75 come August, September, whenever. That gives you a couple months to build up. And it gives you a storyline that they're already guaranteed, so they don't have to wrestle. But everybody underneath them is trying to make their way to get in line to be the next challenger. That's your second, third, fourth, fifth team, whatever. Whoever doesn't win the Crockett Cup, they're all shuffling for a place on the ladder of a chance at the champions. And I mean, who knows? I just really want to see Murdoch move on along with Knox, because I mean, as much as you saw them on their last match where Murdoch messed up his fingers, they're enjoying themselves. They were talking with the crowd. They're having fun. They're wrestling the way they want to wrestle. Plus they're helping younger teams and younger wrestlers. So, I mean, you've struck gold with them. You need to do something with them as soon as you can before you lose that magic.
100%. And they're doing great stuff together. I appreciate that, Dave. Sometimes, it looks like a simple question. Dave's going to come out with some more Crockett Cup booking. Get back in here, Jeremy. He's like, no, okay. Dave does some Crockett Cup booking around, the World Tag Titles, and comes away breaking up the Rock and Roll Express. That would get eyes on the product. You're right.
It would. I love it.
Yeah, that is amazing. Good job. That's it, guys. Let's find us on social media. I'll alliance-wrestling.com is your number one source for all NWA, UWN, and independent stuff. At the Alliance blog on all the socials. Where can they find you, Dave?
They can find me at Dave Scooby on Instagram and on Twitter.
And Jeremy, our roving reporter for the UWN, where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter at HJWOTS and on the YouTube at youtube.com/@worm5559.
I am at the Alliance Gold on all the socials and alliancegold.com, I think. It's been a while since I've been there. But tomorrow night, very special episode of the Alliance Guys podcast with DKM and Jaden and Jay Cal as Jeremiah Plunkett comes onto the show and talks to the boys. Not his first time on the podcast. And that'll be fun to watch. We look forward to that. Every Tuesday, of course, Jay Cal himself has the pre-party. And tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Pacific for the Alliance Guys. Tuesdays, it's 5 p.m. Eastern Time, 2 p.m. Pacific for the pre-party. That's the hour before Power. That's it.
Hour, baby.
Yeah, man. That's see you guys next week. See you. No rant on NWA shipping. You had plenty of other rants that we appreciate, of course, all the time. So until next time, thank you guys for being here. We'll see you at the matches.
Thanks for joining the stream. This has been a presentation of alliance-wrestling.com. We genuinely appreciate your support. Would you consider subscribing so you'll never miss a future episode? I'd also like to remind you we do a live stream every Tuesday at 5 p.m. before NWA Power. You can find us on social media at The Alliance Blog. And until next time, we are The Alliance.